The Academy thought Darian Vale would disappear after he exposed their lies. They were wrong. By midnight, every door in Aurelian Academy began opening by itself. Classroom doors, dormitory doors, armory doors, doors sealed for decades behind stone walls. Even the small iron door beneath the ranking board, the one no student had ever noticed, opened with a sound like someone exhaling after being buried alive. The students screamed first, then the teachers, then the royal inspectors, because from behind every open door came the same whisper, "Remember us." Darian heard it from the forbidden tower. He stood inside the Noxspire's highest chamber, one hand resting on the black crown that had nearly frozen his fingers. The 9 masks hovered around him in silence. Inside, the sky above him was made of ink, and hundreds of pale names crawled across it like dying stars. Arlen Voss, Myra Den, Kale Thornsera, Wint. Names Darian did not know. Names the Academy had erased before it erased his. The 9th mask turned toward the floor, where a staircase had appeared after the first archive woke. "You should not have spared the Academy," it said. Darian looked at the names burning across the false sky. "I did not spare it. You left its walls standing." "I wanted truth." The mask laughed softly. "Truth is a door. Once opened, everything behind it expects to be seen." Far below the tower, something knocked once, twice. Then 100 voices whispered Darian's name. By morning, Aurelian Academy was no longer celebrating. The marble courtyard where Darian had been expelled now looked like a battlefield without blood. Students huddled near fountains. Teachers argued in panicked circles. The ranking board flickered above them, no longer listing the top 10 students. It showed only blank spaces. Then, one by one, names appeared: not current students, missing students, expelled students, dead students. The poor scholarship boy who vanished after failing flame theory. The noble daughter who broke a healing spell and was called unstable. The twins who failed their manner test and were sent home, except no carriage had ever left the gate. Every name appeared for 3 seconds, then scratched itself out. Royal Inspector Faust stood beneath the board with 2 guards and a face like cold stone. "This is your doing," he said. When Darian entered the courtyard, Darian wore the black coat of moving letters. "No," Darian said. "This is what your silence stored." Vast's jaw tightened. "You were offered reinstatement protection, a legal path. I was offered a clean cage. You are harboring illegal magic." Darian glanced toward the forest. "Illegal magic exposed your legal crimes." A few students lowered their eyes. Then someone pushed through the crowd. Illyra Morn, her silver hair was unbound. Her academy ribbon was gone. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She looked like someone who had not slept since choosing the wrong truth. "Darian," she said. "They found another room." He studied her. "Who did?" "The servants. Under the East Lecture Hall. There are desks inside. Children's desks. More than 50. All carved with names no one remembers." Inspector Faust grabbed her arm. "That area is restricted." Illyra pulled free. Restricted is what you call a grave when you do not want prayers. The courtyard went silent. Darian looked at her for a long moment. Then he walked toward the East Hall. No one stopped him. The East Lecture Hall had always smelled of chalk, old paper, and noble perfume. Darian had spent 3 years sitting in its last row, pretending not to hear laughter whenever his spell circles collapsed. Now the room smelled like wet stone. At the back wall, behind a fallen bookcase, stairs descended into darkness. Black letters crawled down the steps. Failure accepted. Name unavailable, ma. Unpaid. Darian raised his hand, and void script opened in his palm. The letters on the stairway bowed Inspector. Faust whispered, "What are you?" Darian did not look back. "The student you expelled." He descended. Beneath the lecture hall was a classroom, not ruined, preserved. 56 small desks stood in straight rows. On each desk rested a grey uniform, folded neatly. Above the front wall hung an older ranking board, cracked down the center. No names, only numbers. Subject 1, Subject 2, Subject 3. At the teacher's desk sat a skeleton wearing an academy badge. Its hand still held a pen. Illyra covered her mouth. Darian approached the first desk. A name had been carved into the wood with fingernails. Arlen Voss. The moment Darian touched it, the room changed. A memory opened. A boy stood before teachers, trembling as his fire spell turned black. The teachers called him corrupted. The dean before Malrek ordered his name removed. Guards dragged him below. Then the ranking board above the old classroom drank the boy's shadow. The memory ended. Darian stepped back. His coat rustled with angry letters. They used them as fuel. The ninth mask's voice whispered from his shadow. Not their bodies, their failures, their shame, their names after rejection. The ranking board was built from erased students. Inspector Faust went pale. "That is impossible." Darian turned to him. "You keep saying that, near evidence." A sound came from the back of the classroom. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The old ranking board split open. Behind it was a door of student nameplates. It opened inward. Cold air spilled out. A child's voice whispered, "Are we allowed to come out now?" Illyra began crying. Darian walked to the door. Beyond it stretched a hallway lined with classrooms, each one full of empty desks. No, not empty. Shadows sat in them, children-shaped, teenager-shaped. Some small enough to still hold wooden practice wands. Their faces were blank. Their names had been eaten. Then a shadow girl lifted her head. "Are you the teacher?" Darian's rage broke into something sharper. "No," he said. "I am the one opening the door." He pressed his palm to the floor. Void script spread across the underground hallway. The erased shadow stirred. The old classroom screamed. Above ground, every door in Aurelian Academy flew open at once. The first shadow stepped out of its desk, then another, then dozens. Each one carried a broken spell in its hands. Dead flames, cracked shields, half-healed wounds, songs without sound. The remains of magic no teacher had wanted to understand. Darian wrote one word in the air: remember. The word shattered like glass and entered every shadow. Faces formed, eyes opened. Names returned as whispers first, then voices. Arlen Voss fell to his knees, suddenly no longer a shadow but a thin boy with black fire in his hands. Mira Den woke screaming with silver light leaking from her eyes. Cale Thorne clutched his own chest and sobbed because he remembered his mother waiting at a gate that never opened. 56 students came back in the first room. Then the second classroom opened. Then the third. Inspector Faust dropped to his knees. We did not know. Darian looked at him. You did not ask. From the stairway came running footsteps. Professor Seraph Holt appeared with a squad of royal spell guards. He had been promoted overnight, rewarded for loyalty. While the academy burned, his face twisted when he saw the restored students. Abominations, Seraph whispered. The word moved through the room like a knife. Arlen flinched. Mira Den stepped back. Darian turned slowly. Say that again. Seraph lifted his wand. They are illegal spell residue. If they reach the surface, every noble house will demand answers. The academy will collapse. Good. Seraph's eyes hardened. He gave the order. The spell guards attacked. Living magic filled the underground classroom. Gold chains, blue fire, white blades, clean spells cast by clean men. Darian moved first. He wrote beneath the first chain, End. The gold links died mid-air and fell as dust. Arlen screamed and raised his hands. Black fire swallowed blue flame without heat. Mira Den opened her silver eyes, and every white blade turned backward toward the guards who cast them. The erased students were terrified, untrained, broken. Powerful Darian did not command them. He stood between them and the guards. Seraph aimed a killing spell at Arlen. Darian stepped into its path. The spell pierced his shoulder. Pain flashed white. Illyra shouted. Darian caught the spell with his bare hand before it exited his back. The ninth mask whispered, Now you understand. They are not your army. Darian crushed the spell. They are witnesses. He lifted his hand. Every failed spell in the underground classrooms rose at once. Hundreds of broken circles, thousands of rejected sparks. A storm of abandoned magic filled the hall. The spell guards froze. Darian wrote one sentence across the air. Class dismissed. The storm struck. Weapons shattered, armor cracked. One snapped, no one died. Everyone fell. Seraph remained standing, shielded by a noble relic at his throat. He laughed shakily. You think this ends anything? The royal court will seal the tower. They will burn every record. They will call you a monster. Darian walked toward him. Seraph stepped back. You need proof. Darian pointed to the restored students. I have proof. They will say, you created them. No, Illyra said. Everyone turned. She stood in front of the old teacher's desk, holding the skeleton's pen and ledger. Her hands shook, but her voice did not. I have records. Names, payments, orders. Noble signatures. Every student erased. Every family silenced. Every ranking bought with a missing child. Seraph's face drained. Elira looked at Darian. I told the lie that ruined you, she said. Let me tell the truth that ruins them. For a moment, Darian saw the girl he had once protected, not forgiven, not clean, but choosing the harder door too late rather than never. He nodded once. Then the deepest classroom opened. The lights went out. Even the restored students fell silent. A voice rose from below. Old peasant, starved. Who is returning names without permission? The 9 masks appeared around Darian. All at once, their voices were frightened. First archive. The floor split open. Below was another classroom, 1 desk, 1 chair. 1 student sitting with his back turned. He looked no older than Darian, but his shadow filled the room like a kingdom. The 9th mask whispered, the first erased student. Darian stepped to the edge of the broken floor. What is your name? The seated boy laughed softly. They took it before language learned to mourn. The restored students began whispering. The boy stood. The first archive turned. His face was blank, except for a black smile. You opened the little doors, Darian Vale. He lifted one hand, far above. The Knockspire bell rang. But I am the door they buried the world behind. A force slammed through the underground hall. Darian fell to one knee. The restored students screamed as their returned names flickered. The first archive was pulling them back, not to punish them, to become them. Darian understood instantly. This was not a prisoner waiting to be saved. It was a hunger made from every rejection before his. He drove his bleeding hand into the floor. Vide's script answered. The Knockspire opened behind him like a black sun. Darian wrote with blood, pain, and every name he had restored. Not yours. The words struck the first archive and forced him back into the lower classroom. The door began closing. The first archive smiled wider. Good. A warden should know how to lock things away. Darian froze. The word landed too deeply. Warden. Then the door slammed shut. Silence returned. Not peace, only delay. For now it held by nightfall. The erased students stood in the courtyard of Aurelian Academy. Some were children. Some were older than they should have been. Some had been missing for decades. Nobles arrived in carriages demanding explanations. They found their signatures on the academy walls. The royal inspectors were too busy arresting everyone else. Elira handed the ledger to the restored students, not to the court. Your names belong to you, she said. Arlen Voss looked at Darian. What happens to us now? Darian looked at the academy. Its gates stood open. Its ranking board was destroyed. Its walls were still beautiful. Beautiful cages made prisoners doubt they were trapped. You choose, Darian said. Stay, leave, learn, burn your uniform. Keep it. No one decides for you again. Arlen looked toward the forest. The tower chose you. Darian glanced at the Knockspire. It stood where only the rejected could see it. No, he said. The tower opened for me. That is not choosing what I become. The restored students lowered their heads, not bowing, listening. Later, Darian returned to the Knockspire alone. The 9 masks waited beneath the black crown. The staircase to the first archive remained sealed, but black cracks pulsed around it like veins. The ninth mask spoke first. You saved them. I opened the doors. You also closed one. Darian looked at the sealed stair. What is the first archive? The masks were silent too long. Then the ninth answered. The first failure, the first name erased, the first magic the world decided should not exist. And why does it want me? The black crown turned slowly in the air beneath the tower. The sealed door knocked once. The first archive whispered through the stone. Because you are not the tower's heir, Darian Vale. The masks trembled. The voice smiled inside the dark. You are its next lock. Darian stood beneath the crown as the Knockspire bell rang again. He had opened the erased classrooms. He had returned the stolen names. He had saved the students the academy buried. But the oldest failure was awake now, and it knew exactly what he was for.